The interesting about Mount Etna is that it's still very much an active volcano. It has about 50 eruptions each year. The other interesting thing to kind of show about its growth in terms of a wine region is in 2013, it only had 60 producers. In 2017, it had 130 producers. And in 2024, it has 441 producers.
Today, we're going to find out if Etna wines are worth the hype. I'm Jason.
And I'm Trent, and we're here on an unfiltered, unapologetically unprofessional wine journey. And we have a saying here, Jace.
Our saying is drink more, try more, learn more. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So thoughts of the week, Trent. What have you been thinking about?
Oh, this could be quite contentious, but it's a term we hear all the time in the wine world. And we're going to see it today because I saw it kind of pop up when I was trying to do the research around Etna. Yeah. Minerality.
Yep. Okay.
What's minerality? What are your thoughts on minerality?
I always feel like it's this saltiness, like the wine's going over some like salty rocks or something like that.
Salty rocks? I never had salty rocks before.
What's salt?
Okay. So give it a history. It only really come to prevalence during the 1980s. I don't know from what origin, but it wasn't there like 1960s, 70s. So it's only I know, kind of late. It kind of came through. There's no formal definition of what minerality is, but there is a definition of what mineral is.
Yep.
So definition of a mineral is, from Cambridge, a valuable or useful chemical substance that is formed naturally in the ground.
Okay? Yeah.
Okay, which makes sense. But what you see is the wine definition around it is, for wine, it's a romantic notion that vines suck up all the minerals from the rocks and soils to express the unique terroir.
Yeah.
And I kind of like stare into and think about, it is really a romantic notion because they've done this through science, talking to geologists and soil experts as well, and just say there's actually no connection. It's not possible scientifically to see any from the minerals be expressed through the grapes. So it's actually utter bullshit.
That blows my mind. That's
mind blown. Mind blown emoji. But what do we actually mean? What does the wine world actually mean when we talk about minerality?
You tell me, what is it? Wow.
The common terms they used is sucking on a pebble, licking on a stone, chalk and slate. It's those type of things. I do think about like a wet river stone, that kind of smell that you sometimes get when you're walking through the rainforest, as I always do on a summer's day.
There's not many rainforests around Sydney, but...
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Yeah. Other things around aromas, so say gun smoke, flint, steel, concrete, asphalt. And texture, generally high acidity, lower sugar, and lower alcohol. I reflect on that, and I guess how I think about minerality from my perspective is like it's generally kind of leaner, lighter wines, lower alcohol. So I do agree to that point. High acidity, but the things that I kind of think of is like kind of iodine type of notes, iron, filing, saline, and saltiness. That what I can associate with minerality. So the thought is around minerality, like how do you define it for yourself, and is it a term that we should use or we shouldn't use or stop using?
Yeah, let us know in the comments below. That's really interesting because like I said at the start, I was like, oh yeah, it's just salt in my mind. But you're right. I hear the chalkiness. I hear about the flintiness, and that's not salt. It's a bit different.
Yeah. What have you been thinking of?
I've been thinking of the year 2016. Yeah. And I had to look at my notes. 2016. Yeah. Back then, I was very early on in my wine journey, and I was just enjoying wine. And the thing that was most important to me was just having a good price point. I wanted to pay as low as possible for some good value. Yeah. There was this article that came out that said that the St. Andrews Cab Sav won the Melbourne International Wine Competition. And do you know how much that wine was?
Oh, $5.
Close, $6.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Is this recently? 2024?
No. This was back in 2016. Well, actually, the article was written in 2017.
Okay.
But the vintage was 2016. And to me, that like anything under $10, and it's winning medals, I'm like, go get it. Yeah. I went out, I rushed out, and I bought about 6 bottles of these things. Never tasted it before. It was a Cab Sav.
It was a Cab Sav. Okay, from Barossa saying, or
St. Andrews. I think it was in SA. I think it was Clare. Clare.
Wow.
I'd need to double check that. But to me, it was like if someone said it's won gold medals, and it was at $6. It's a win. I'm going to go get more. Fast forward to where we are right now, and I'm reading a lot of articles talking about we need to pay attention to who actually produces the wine.
The winemaker or the company?
Both, right? And it made me think, who actually produced that? Yeah. St. Andrews back then, I didn't realize it's actually linked to Coles.
Coles, wow.
Right? So Coles produces a lot of wine and creates its own brands, and a few other companies do this as well. Yeah. But it did make me think, is it really important to understand who makes my wine?
I think there is, yeah.
Yeah, and certainly as we've gone through this journey, it's become more of a discussion. The Real Review did a great article actually called "Who Makes My Wine," but they were basing it off someone else who called out the different brands that are made by specific organizations. And we know Australia, the retail scene is largely dominated by two supermarkets, Coles and Woolies. Yeah. It says that Coles has 81 wine brands under its name, and Woolies, which Endeavour was part of, is no longer part of, has about 231 wine brands.
Do you have any examples that we might not know?
So St. Andrews was one for Coles, two churches for Coles. For Woolies / Endeavour, Cat Amongst Pigeons and Red Knot. I think everyone would probably have seen these in the stores because we know those companies, they're associated. Coles is associated with Liquorland, First Choice Liquor, Vintage Cellars. Yeah. I shop at all of those. Woolies, they have Dan's, BWS, Langton's as well. So it really made me think, and I was considering what are the points around why you need to be considering this. So some points I wanted to share and just get your thoughts on, right? So one, supermarket retailers are placing their own wine brands in shelves, which is making it harder for independents to get that shelf space.
Of course, yeah.
Right? So everyone's, they're just running a business at the end of the day, and they're going to promote the products that help them and help them financially. And so any independents outside that aren't their own brand has to compete for that. So there was a recent Senate inquiry into supermarkets and their market power. And the concern is that there's 2,000 wine producers, 6,000 grape growers that are being squeezed off the shelves because the supermarket-owned products is what's being placed there. So that's one point.
Yeah.
Shelf space. Two, supermarket-owned labels provide a better margin as they don't have the traditional supplier costs. So they own the entire supply chain. Yeah. So there's going to be some cost savings from them, which is absolutely why they can produce some better price points.
Vertical integration, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah. So when I'm seeing $6 wines, that's why.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Three, the industry estimates owner brands are 35% of the domestic market by volume in Australia. But if you compare that to New Zealand, it's only 5% of the domestic market. So there's something a bit different in our space here in Australia. The fourth one is supermarket-owned brands may be misleading the consumer because it's not clear where the wine originated from. To be creating these different brands, you really got to dig down to find who actually created it and when. So to me, I like if I'm there supporting diversity, competition, innovation within the market, then the question around doesn't matter who makes the wine. To me, it matters.
Bloody oath it does.
You have a choice, right? And it doesn't mean to say that any of those businesses are doing anything wrong. They're running a business at the end of the day. But I guess as a consumer, we need to be informed and we can make a choice on what's important to us at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think the devil's in the detail, right? To your point, I don't think they make it easy for you to actually know who's the producer in the back end.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was going to say, like, when you talk about kind of shelf space, I don't think it's just wine. I think it's everything else. Like you see now in the Woolies and the Coles, like they have their own products that have started to create as their own brand. They're then trying to push out all the other kind of, I won't say producers or other brands as well in that kind of space. So it's not just wine, it's everything else. And it's important to kind of support the little guy.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of boutique, independent, family-owned run business. And the question is, how do they compete with that?
Exactly.
Which is a challenge. So there were a few articles which did give some tips on how you can decipher where it's made from. So Financial Review had a few points. Really, it was about reading the fine print on the wine label. So for Coles, they often use the James Busby brand in their wine label. So have a look at that at the back. Also for Endeavour, they typically use Pinnacle drinks. Aldi, which was interesting, Aldi is the most upfront. Aldi simply says it's bottled for Aldi stores, right? Yeah. And so to me, there's different ways on how you can be upfront about it. But if you're looking at those aspects, you can be able to pick out who's making these wines.
Make an informed choice. Very important.
That's it. So that's my thought of the week.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing. On to today's episode, Etna. What do you know about Etna?
All I know is that it's a volcano, and I've heard a lot of discussion around great wine from there. I didn't even know there was wine being produced from there. Who's going to be hanging out on a volcano in my mind?
Obviously, a lot of people.
Right.
So let me tell you a bit about Etna, okay? So these are the wines that will blow your mind. I kind of infer from because it's a volcano. You get it?
Makes sense.
Makes sense. Okay. So Etna's in Sicily. And Sicily, when you think about Italy being the boot, Sicily's the soccer ball. Got it? And the soccer ball, it's in the northeast of Sicily, and that's where Mount Etna is.
Yep.
Okay. It's near the second biggest city is called in Sicily is called Catania. And the interesting about Mount Etna is that it's still very much an active volcano. It has about 50 eruptions each year.
Oh my gosh.
And the last kind of two major eruptions was in 2018 in December, and then in February in 2021. So it's living on the edge, right? Making wines, it's tough stuff to kind of make these wines that we're going to try today. The vineyards itself, think of it about in a kind of a C shape, but kind of backwards reverse C shape around the volcano.
Right. Yep.
So it goes from north, east, and then down to the south. The vineyards range from 300 meters to 1,200 meters, 12,090 hectares. And the interesting thing as well in those soils, because it's volcanic ash, and also it's quite high in terms of altitude as well, it doesn't lend itself towards this bug called phylloxera.
Right. Yep.
And we know phylloxera has devastated vines all across the world. So what that means is that some of the vines here is like 140 years old, so old vines, purely because the bugs can't grow or can't multiply in these kind of conditions.
Right.
So we had a lot of old vine wines, which is going to be quite interesting in terms of what we try today. The soils itself, you can think about it, lava, ash, sand, and it's constantly changing as well because eruptions all the time. So you might think, is this soil one day and then,
lava flow changes that completely.
Like 5 years later, another load of ash kind of comes through, could be quite different. And the type of soils it has there is rocky, fast draining, nutrient poor, mineral rich, copper, phosphorus, and iron type of soils. It holds heat at the night, volcano, but it's also quite high near the water as well. It's this cool breeze that comes through and kind of cools it down and keeps it that kind of freshness in the city in terms of the wines. Bit of history. Etna's not new to winemaking. It's been around for years and years. The ancient Greeks were there. It was actually referenced in was it Homer and Odysseus as well. So with the Cyclops, the one eye.
Yeah. So, that surprises me because it feels to me like Etna Wines is just a new fad new trend that's come on board, but it's been that long.
It's been that long, but through those years, very much focus on quantity rather than quality. And it's only recently that's really like in around the 1980s, 30, 40 years ago, where it's really kind of come to a fore in terms of focusing around the quality of wines. And the renaissance around those wines is really driven by three people. One is Andrea Franchetti of Passi Pischiaro, Marc de Gracia from Tenuto del Terranera, and a Belgian-born winemaker called Frank Cornelissen. I hope I pronounce him right.
I trust you.
Probably better than your French. In 1968, it got its DOC status. That's the certification around appellation. And it has 133 sub-regions. The other interesting thing to kind of show about its growth in terms of wine region is in 2013, it only had 60 producers. In 2017, 130 producers.
Wow.
And in 2024, has 441 producers.
Wow.
And some of the producers even say there's probably like too many now, kind of into that space, kind of like, was it? Cramping your style type of thing. So obviously it's kind of blown and it's increased, and hence maybe some of the kind of the news and more popularity marketing around Etna wines. Yeah. So other notable producers from those areas are Benanti, Berto Graci was in that partnership with Gaia, doing the Etna wines, and also Planeta as well, Diego Planeta, who's doing some fantastic wines from Etna. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those. Oh, actually, we do have one of those wines, Alberto Graci, today. But we're going to try these wines. So what I often look at, or what I read in terms of these wines, is two words: power and elegance.
Yep.
Okay. The other word, the other notes that I see to my kind of thought of the week is around minerality.
Yes, that's what I would have thought. Yeah.
Maybe all the minerals in the soil from the volcanic ash. Structure, texture, and also a smoky element as well. Maybe we're kind of inferring that because it's volcanic and has that smoke coming through.
Have you been around many volcanoes?
No.
Yeah.
No, have you?
I guess I'm thinking about in Japan, the volcanoes and the outdoor onsens and that kind of sulfur kind of smell. Yeah. That's what I'm imagining would be coming from these wines. I'm so curious.
Yeah. So should we delve into these wines?
Let's go.
So today we've got a white and a red. If you're good with your Italian, we call the white the Etna Bianco, Etna white. And today we're going to, do you want to read it out? Or do I try to read it out?
Yeah, so today we're going, this is easy. It's Etna Bianco. What do you mean? Graci.
Yeah.
Graci. 2022.
Yeah, easy. So as I mentioned, Graci is doing some great stuff there, doing stuff with Gaia as well. So I thought this would be a really good one to try. I got this one for $58 from the Prince Wine Store. So have a try. What do you think? So just to talk through a bit of history about Graci and the wine itself, was an investment banker in Milan, started then doing wines in Etna. It's 600 meters above sea level, ungrafted, so kind of pre-phylloxera type of wines. It's between Alberto and also Sister Elena, who run the winery on only 2.5 hectares of the Caricante and the Catarato. So that's probably the other point. The two great varieties for Etna Bianco is Caricante and Catarato. You can see here also the breakdown, 85% Caricante and 50% Catarato. What are you picking up?
I think the wine, the scent of the wine is quite distinct. And you said power and elegance, but there's a strong almost marmalade kind of scent to it, and I even get that on the taste. But also the famous words minerality. To me, there's the salinity there that's also joined that. And it's got a fair bit of body on it, actually.
When you say lines, when you do that kind of like salty water, it has that kind of on the side of your tongue.
Yeah.
That kind of that kind of bite to it. And Etna Bianco also says it's like a mix between a Riesling and a Chablis.
That's the body is definitely distinct there, which is closer to a Chablis.
Has a really sharp acidity to it, but then has a kind of broadness around it, and that kind of, I don't know how to describe that kind of salty saline. It's not like eating like salt flakes, but it's, I don't know.
It's diluted. It's not sharp. It's actually, it's quite smooth and enjoyable to have. Right?
Yeah. But it's not, it's not like salt flakes, but it's a bit like, I don't know, it has that kind of iron element to it as well. It's like licking an iron bar or something like that.
Yeah, we need to bring one of those iron bars to lick.
It says that it has smoky peat, lime zest, and sour melon, saline, salty mineral elements to it. Are you loving this?
Am I loving it? I'm enjoying it. I guess it is a wine that's making me think about it. I think it is, the saltiness is actually quite strong as I'm having it right now. I don't necessarily think it's the flavor profile that I'm looking for, but maybe that's just because I haven't had much of it.
Yeah.
What about you?
I feel that the descriptors in terms of the mix between Riesling and Chablis is spot on. Has that kind of acidity of a Riesling, but it has a minerality around a Chablis, but has that kind of roundness, bigness as well to it. Like it's not a lean wine. It kind of has a kind of body to it, right?
Yes.
Bit of structure to the wine that can kind of take on like quite a big, like a pork tenderloin or something like that.
Yeah. And the acidity is actually quite different to what we have with a Chablis. You're right. It is the combination of the Riesling and Chablis is the great description for it.
Corkscrews?
Well, I would give that a 7 out of 10 corkscrews. It's complex and it's making me think it's just not the flavor profile that I enjoy right now.
Yeah.
But what about you? It's a bit too salty for me.
A bit too salty. I don't know. I'm tossing up. I'm liking it because it's different.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't just judge it based on what I like. I should judge it based on the wine itself. I'd probably give it 8 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff.
Because I think it's very well made.
Yeah.
And it's very complex. It makes you think.
Yes, I agree
around
with
the wine. And I like that about that wine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we go on to red?
On to reds.
Do you want to say the wine?
Yeah, I love pronouncing these. Calderara. Calderara Nerello Mascalese. I feel like I went a bit Spanish.
It's actually quite confusing because tell me, who do you think the producer is?
Oh, yeah, okay. Let me pick that out. Oh, yeah, that is confusing. Maybe Calderara is the producer. And yeah, that's it.
It's really, the producer actually Etna Trio.
Wow. That's not even on the bottom of the label. Oh, that little insignia there. Okay.
Yeah, it's actually quite confusing, the label, but it's a 2019 Etna Trio Calderara Nerello Mascalese. Gotta think Italian, remember?
I think Spanish looks like.
So to describe the Etna Rosso type of wines as a Pinot Noir style of wine that ages well and ages well like a Barolo as well. The two main grapes for the reds are Nerello Mascalese and Nerello Cappuccio.
That was pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah. Then, so they say the Nerello Mascalese is intriguing and generous type of grape variety. And then the Nerello Cappuccio is a more of a spicier type of grape that is normally added for blending with the Nerello Mascalese. The Etna Trio, as you try that, it's a family vineyard, only started in 2012, so only 12 years ago. It's a dad and two daughters. The dad is Nunzio Puglisi and his daughters Stephanie and Desiree. That forms the trio. He was an agronomist, so agriculture economist. Only on 3 hectares of wine. Again, very small type of producers here, right, creating the wines. He said there was kind of like a farmer first and then creating the wines. It's really much about the wines, speaking of the land. Northwest slopes of Etna, 600 to 1,100 meters above sea level. On that, what are you picking up?
It was interesting because when we opened this up earlier, we did have a question around whether or not it had a fault, and like the smell smells like the scent of a farm, which we were saying is linked to Brett.
Yeah, scent of an Italian farm.
Scent of an Italian farm, and even tasting it, even smelling it now, I can still get that. When I'm tasting it, you know what? I get that salinity that's coming from Etna Wines. There's some great acidity that's coming through there. But the fruit, I feel, is still hidden. So I do think this is affected by Brett. But I'm keen to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm picking that up. I might say that I didn't buy this one, just given from Dom, our mate. So I'll put the blame on him.
Thanks, Dom.
Yeah. But putting the farmyardiness aside, on it, the tannins just grip you. It's got that kind of Barolo, like Nebbiolo kind of grip in terms of the tannins. Trying to look past the farmyard.
The saltiness, the minerality is you get that? There's still acidity that's coming through it.
So I say with this producer as well, indigenous yeast, very much a natural producer. All wines are fully organic, non-stabilized, filtered and clarified as well. So it doesn't do much with it, which may kind of lend itself towards things getting in there and hence the wine fault. It could be a style that you like.
It could be, and we're curious to know in the community. Let us know if if that is a style of the reds from Etna.
Yeah. Just to go through some of the notes on the wine. Ripe wild berries, spices, vanilla. On the palate, warm, smooth, dry, sweet tannins, moderate savouriness and persistence. So,
are you getting much fruit from there? I think it's hidden. Yeah.
It's hidden. I think we have to try another Etna Rosso.
Agree. And I don't think it's fair to do a corkscrew rating on that because of that.
Okay.
Which is a shame.
On that? What are your reflections on Etna?
I think Etna, like the moment I heard that they're making wine on a volcano, I thought this place is interesting.
Yeah.
And the tastings have produced that. Yeah. Like, yes, the red was affected, we think may have a fault in it. But the white is absolutely making us think.
Yeah.
And it's something foreign to me. It's something I haven't had before, but it's something I want to explore more because there must be some fantastic combinations of flavors coming out of there.
Because when you think about, especially the Etna Rosso, you say it's a comparison to Pinot and also for Barolo, the Nebbiolo. So these are wines that can age. And they say that, these wines are getting more and more expensive. Yep. And it's good to kind of get what you can now before the hype really kind of takes on, like a Burgundy or a Bordeaux or like a Barolo or a Brunello Montalcino. So I think get in there, try one of these Etna Rossos if you like it, buy a few, keep it there, try it, get in before the hype comes through and enjoy some of these wines. But do let us know as well, like which other Etna Rosso should we try? And hopefully one that won't have a wine fault.
So that's us at The Wind Up. As we like to say here, drink more, try more, learn more.